very first episode, and I'm so excited to have Dagan Hoot Van Oosten on. He's host of the Nomadic Research podcast. He's co-owner of Nomadic Research and owner of the 102250 LLC, which actually provides tactical and security services for the U.S. government agencies, the Department of Defense, and law enforcement. He's here to share his incredible story of his near-death experience. So I'm so happy to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
Good morning.
You nailed it. Good morning.
Thanks. Thanks. So take me back. This happened years ago, and I totally when you said that to me last night when I was messaging you that you're the liver, the same scenario, I was like speechless. So I'm like, all right, I gotta go sit and think about this. So yes, take me back now.
Yeah, so it was the first day of my senior year. We lived I'm from a small rural town, Polo, Illinois. It's in kind of the northwest corner of Illinois. And we were about 3 miles outside of town, obviously where school was at. And the morning routine was you'd drive in at 5:30 a.m. and you'd go to the weight room and, train because you were in sports, football, wrestling, whatever. And it was, technically the last day of summer. So we had been in the weight room and football practice, for a month ahead of time. Routine that, like I said, the SOP or the routine was, why go over to the high school and get cleaned up after the weight room when my house is only 3 miles away? And, that made sense to a bunch of teenagers, you know what I mean? Like just to get away and go back. And so we would race back to my house, a handful of the, close friends that I had. And we would clean up and eat breakfast and stuff at my house. And then we would race back into school, with usually seconds to spare. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly how it went.
Yeah. So, gravel roads and like I said, about a 3 mile stretch. And, we were running late, myself included. So way to start off your senior year with a bang, right? By being tardy or whatever, and 10 minutes later. So I was speeding. I was the last person to leave the driveway. So I had about 3 or 4 friends that were in 3 or 4 cars ahead of me, and they were ahead of me to the point to where they couldn't see me in the rear view mirror, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I had an old but restored, gorgeous GMC Sierra, kind of your atypical country, jacked up truck, if you will. That was my absolute, prized possession. And I had worked a lot of jobs to save up the money to buy this truck. And it was raced up, it was souped up, so it was fast. And of course, I was driving it as fast as it would drive, on loose gravel. So not the valedictorian of my class, if you will, not being too bright. And I lost control of the truck. I had dropped like my water bottle. And then when I reached down to grab my water bottle, it made the truck veer off. And if you've never been to Northern Illinois, the ditches are very steep and very deep.
Yeah, my family's from Iowa, so I know those ditches. Yeah,
so, right. Exactly what I'm talking about. So I can distinctly remember like retrieving my bottle. And if I'm being totally truthful, even though it's kind of gross, it was a cope, like I was spitting, I was chewing.
Yeah.
Tobacco in my mouth. Right?
Yeah.
So you don't want to drop that. So no. I reached down to pick it up. And when I came back up into the, whatever you want to call it, like the proper driving posture, I was kind of already halfway off the road. And at that speed, like I said, the speedometer stopped at 90 because it was like a 1984 model truck. And I, glanced up, saw that I wasn't technically on the road all the way, thought this is not good. And believe it or not, like I can remember thinking, don't overcorrect.
Oh my gosh.
Don't overcorrect. And so as I thought I, kind of pulled the wheel as gently as I could. Truth be told, I probably thought that and yanked it anyways. It all kind of happened so fast. But that started the spin. That kind of started the tailspin.
At 90 miles an hour?
Right. I mean, and that was one of the
Wow.
things, when I woke up, not to skip too far ahead, when I woke up, the sheriff was in the hospital kind of doing like the post accident report because they had to rush me, not like I said, not to jump too far ahead of it, but that was one of the questions he asked me when I was able to speak. He said, "Do you remember how fast you were going?" And I said, "Well, the speedometer stops at 90, and I'm pretty sure I didn't see the needle." I said I was going as fast as the truck would go,
Yeah.
way too fast for those road conditions. And so basically what happened was when I lost control of the vehicle, I went from, the right side of the road to the left side of the road, and the vehicle immediately started to roll. My window was down. I didn't have my seatbelt on, which come to find out, according to the law enforcement, that did the post-accident investigation, it was one of those times where they're like, "Hey, had you had your seatbelt on, you probably would have died."
Yeah.
Turns out
Yeah.
turns out you ended up dying anyways, but like for realsies,
Right. Right.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I have a couple memories from the crash where I think I stayed in it for like a roll or two. And then at some point I was out of the window, still had a hold of the steering wheel with my left hand, but the majority from like the waist up, like be like the Dukes of Hazards, except I was coming out, not going in. I
Right.
was halfway out of the truck, and not a good place to be as it's still continuing to roll. And the truck, came down hard on my midsection. The last thing I kind of remember is the top of the truck, and that pressure. As soon as my back hit like the earth and the truck came down on my midsection, you know, uh, everything I had for breakfast came out, and
Wow. Yeah.
right. And then it was just a blanket of brown because the truck was brown, chocolate brown, just a blanket of brown that kind of, and the pressure of the vehicle, and the noise, everything kind of slows down, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and then the next thing I know, I'm crawling up out of the ditch. Was crawling up out of the ditch, and my eyes were still kind of closed, but like moving, but my eyes were closed type of deal, or at least that's how I remember it. And I got to the middle of the country road, and I stood up and I opened my eyes, and immediately was like, that wasn't good, and how hurt am I?
Right. Right. You knew something was up. Yeah.
Yeah. So as ridiculous, of course, I looked and saw my truck, a considerable distance away from me, or what was left of it,
Yeah.
and like my second thought was, my old man is gonna beat my ass,
Yeah. Yeah.
like I have just totaled this truck. Immediately followed by, okay, I got to find out how I have to be hurt. There's no way that,
Right. Right.
So I kind of started, as ridiculous. I can laugh about it now. I kind of, God, I wish Google Earth was a thing back then, because it probably would have caught me doing like I started doing like a funk.
Checking yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had like a big cut on my arm, but other than that, I seem to be fine. Like I'm doing the neck thing, like I said, holy shit. I said, I'm immortal. Like this, I'm fine. I'm not hurt.
Right.
I just got this little cut, and that's it. And then I had I don't want to say, I had a lot of blood come out of my mouth,
Oh gosh.
and kind of did one of these numbers, and my hand kind of filled up with blood, and I was like, well, that's internal, and that's not good. I've seen enough movies. No, okay, now I'm in deep shit.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Like I said, 3 miles out of the country, out into the country. And so the closest neighbor, and I can't remember the distance, but it was a little bit of a ways. And out there, you kind of loosely know all your neighbors, because you probably only have like, 4 of them,
Yep.
I mean, you're
Yeah.
from Iowa,
Yep.
and so I said, well, and I looked to see if any of my guys had seen it, like hopefully
Yeah.
somebody saw it and they stopped, but they were gone, and just due to like the topography, they were, out of sight, and so they couldn't see me. I couldn't see them. So I was like, well, I just have to hoof it to the neighbors, and hopefully someone's home. So I started kind of hoofing it down to the neighbor's house. And right about the time I got to the neighbor's, I won't say his name. I'm not even sure if he's still alive. I hope he is. I was getting ready to knock on the door, right? I was getting ready to knock on the door, and I heard a semi truck coming, approaching. And I looked, and the semi truck stopped at my truck to because the truck's still smoldering and what have you. And so I walked back out to the middle of the road and kind of did I'm down here,
Yeah.
So I ended up knowing the guy, kind of the perks of being in a very small town.
Right.
He ran an excavation service, and I had done some work for him in the past. And I won't name him, but he pulled up in the semi and had a flatbed with nothing on it. Because by this time it's 8:20 in the morning.
Right. School hours.
Right. So he pulled up and sees me, and he's like, holy shit, Dagan, are you okay? And I said, no, I'm not. You need to call an ambulance. And he goes, okay, I'll call one right now. And he goes, just get up on the back of the flatbed. So I climbed up on the back of the flatbed, and that's when I kind of started going in and out,
Yeah.
I can distinctly remember being very warm and obviously, in an immense amount of pain. And I felt pressure in my stomach because come to find out my liver had been lacerated in half. And was yours the same way? Was it all?
Yep.
Yep. So yeah, the deal, you're on the clock. And
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
You're on the clock for real. And so yeah, I was laying on the back of the bed of the flatbed, and that's when the memories kind of it starts getting hazy. But I distinctly remember feeling very, very warm, and I closed my eyes. And bright sunny day, not a cloud in the sky. I kind of just turned towards the sun. And I was soaked because there was my clothes were soaked. I was wearing this ridiculous camouflage Hawaiian button-up t-shirt or shirt,
Of course.
And it's grunge, you know what I mean? I was all grunged out, I had the old ball-bearing necklace, and trying to be, Stone Temple.
First day had to stand out.
Yeah. Right. And this overwhelming sense of the pain started to dissipate. The pain started to dissipate, and that's when I kind of use the word separate. I started to kind of separate, and I don't know if you've ever broken. I mean, I know you've broken a bone because I watched your things. Something just told me that I was dying.
Yeah.
Hey, you're dying. And not in a panic, not in anything. Right. Just some internal monologue said, "This is what's happening. You are dying."
Yeah.
So I started to once that thought went through my head and I started to kind of separate, things kind of started to happen in flashes. And one of the flashes was I was flying, is the best way I could describe it. My parents owned a property on the river that would have been very, very near and dear to my heart. And I found myself flying at a high rate of speed over that body of water.
Yeah.
I can remember the sun sparkling, just centimeters off, skimming the top of the water. And I can distinctly remember how shimmering and how it was like the river was full of diamonds.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I can imagine.
Right.
Because I can get where you're at because of what I saw. So what you're experiencing now, I can totally put myself in that mindset because the feeling is there, the for those of you who don't know, I had a near-death experience also, so that's why I'm
Yeah, so I
understanding this.
cannot wait to hear all, yeah, we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
So that kind of affirmed that visual, like you said, it's like it's half visual, half feeling.
Hmm.
It definitely affirmed that I was kind of no longer on the truck. I had no sense of the truck at all. I had no sense of time. I had no sense of obviously no pain. Um, I don't think there's human words that it can really accurately describe the peace and tranquility, like the
Yep.
just contentment, total and utter.
Acceptance. It's
Yeah, yeah, and as those, then I wasn't flying across the river anymore. Now I'm like in this white void,
Mhm.
like totally
Yep.
just no, once again, no sense of my body, no sense of time, no sense of anything. I'm just in this void, this white space that seems infinite. And there was a presence, there was a presence there. And I did not grow up in a, well, I was raised in a, church every Sunday type of, my mom was, and still is, very pious. I think I was more like my dad. I think I was just a forced participant.
Yeah.
You know, I,
Yeah.
like, it wasn't that I didn't believe in a higher power stuff. I just always kind of pushed back against the human element of it.
Right.
That
At
makes
that age, your focus is somewhere else too. You're like, yeah,
right.
whatever, mom and dad. Yeah.
Yeah. But in that white void, in that space, the only way I can, like I said, describe it is there was a presence there that was formless, shapeless, and just in the form of light. But that was the visual feeling. My mental feeling was, oh, okay, I'm meeting God. Like this is,
Right.
and so I started to have this candid conversation. I have to laugh at myself because it's, ridiculous. I said something along the lines of, hey, I know I haven't been like your number one fan, uh, and haven't really, been the best. I said, but if this is your plan, then I'm okay. I'll come with. But if not, I have a lot of shit I want to do. And
Yeah.
at the end of that sentence, I was immediately back on the truck.
Oh, get out.
Yeah, I was immediately back on the truck, an immense amount of pain, like back to reality,
Yeah.
back. And it was like being ripped out, like sucked
Yep.
out, instantaneously, And when I came to, or when I came back to the truck, uh, my grandmother and grandfather on my dad's side, who unfortunately are both no longer, both passed, um, they were standing beside me but beside the truck, beside the flatbed of the semi. And the reason why was because my grandmother for years, and I would go to my grandmother's house morning, noon, and night because they lived very close to the schools in town. So I went there for lunch. I went there after the weight room. I went there after wrestling practice or what. I was just always there. So very close with both of them. And she was an ambulance dispatcher for years, and she still kept a police scanner in her kitchen. So she hears, all of this ambulance, because the ambulance showed up, not too long afterwards. Um, they beat the ambulance out there, as soon
Oh,
as
wow.
she heard the call. Of course, they're telling me it's going to be okay, that's so forth. And then before I know it, I'm in the ambulance, and the ambulance crew, like I said, I can't stress how small of a town it is, but like you being from Iowa,
Yep.
I knew most of the ambulance crew, or they knew me. And they were kind of cracking jokes. They're like, hey, Dagan, you want to hear something? Because now I'm like getting combative. I'm mad.
Oh.
I was being extremely combative, and because of the pain. And they said, hey, you want to hear a joke? We can't find a pulse on you. And I remember saying, like, how the fuck is that possible? I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
and they were having a real hard time getting the IV in. And because I had lost so much
Oh,
blood,
yeah. Yeah.
come to find out. And I even said something to the tunes of, and this isn't me trying to be Johnny Tough Knuckles. I was very combative. They're like, hey, if we can't get an IV in, we're going to have to put this in your neck. And I was like, if you stick that needle in my neck, I swear to God, you're going to be in the bed next to me, like don't stick
Yeah.
the needle. And that was kind of the last thing. I have some vivid memories of being in the emergency room. My dad was in the emergency room. I can remember my dad coming over and grabbing me by the arm and telling me to stop fighting, because I was,
Yeah.
physically aggressive towards everyone that was trying to help. I was mad because they were cutting my clothes off, and
Yeah, they did that. Yeah.
I was super mad that they were trying to cut off my ball bearing necklace, because I had to like make a special trip to Chicago to get it. Like I was like, I can do it. And they swatted my,
Priorities, Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
I can do it.
I was trying to do it, and they kept trying to, get my hat, don't cut it. God damn it. Like I said, my dad he looked at me and he goes, you have to stop fighting. You have to let them help you. Yeah. And then I can remember being rushed into the elevator. I remember the elevator doors closing, and then I think it was 2 or 3 days later that I woke up.
Yeah.
Woke up, to a room full of people plus
Yeah.
the sheriff, because the sheriff was a family friend.
Yeah.
So
Did they induce you into a coma?
no, I don't. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. My spleen was almost ruptured. My liver was completely in half.
Yeah.
I don't think so. And I can't remember if it was 1 day, 2 days, 3 days that I was,
That's me neither. Yeah.
I want to say three. I'm not trying to make it like it's not a fish story. You know what I mean? Like
No,
I
that's
can't,
how I am.
I can't remember,
Yeah.
because obviously I was out for most of it,
Right. Exactly.
you know. So yeah, I woke up and I saw my grandma. And my grandma, I said, hey grandma. And sorry, sometimes I get a little emotional.
No, I hear you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I she came over and she grabbed my hand and she's like, how you feeling? I said, I've been better, obviously. And she goes, well, I have a question for you. And I said, go ahead. She goes, what were you thinking about when you were on the truck? And I said, what? I don't understand the question. And she goes, when your grandfather and I came up to the truck, she goes, you were looking off, even though she goes, your eyes were closed and you had a big smile on your face. She goes, you had a huge smile. And she said, we said, Dagan, are you okay? And my grandmother said, all I did was eyes closed, just leaned my head over towards them and said, everything's going to be okay, grandma. So
Yeah.
I obviously don't remember doing that. If she said so, I believe her,
Yeah.
and yeah, so yeah, that was kind of soup to nuts. That was kind of my experience,
Yeah.
It took me a long time to talk about it outside of, very, very intimate, close circle of people. Obviously I got, I've carried it to this day. It was a very prolific and profound experience. I remember, but I remember it being kind of hard to talk about because it's like the human side of you the ego almost tries to talk you out of the fact that it happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Was that a dream?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But your body tells you that it wasn't.
Right.
If that makes sense.
I even had a therapist that I told it to, and she didn't believe me. And I'm like, okay, I'm in the twilight zone, but I knew my mother, I just knew what I felt was real. Like there was real. And to this day, I walk around with that feeling still in me. It's like, I don't know. It alters you.
It does. Yeah.
Mm.
And I think it was a lot to carry around. Looking back on it now, it was, you know, constantly kind of having that back and forth conversation in your head. Like, was it real? Did it really happen? Everything in my being tells me that it is. But there's always kind of like that skeptical side of, I think, of your brain,
Right.
that kind of tries to talk you out of it. Um,
Yeah.
and but my body side, if you will, always wins. Like,
Yep.
I question it, but at the same time, there's no question in my mind that it happened.
Right.
And that was part of the impetus of me volunteering for that experimental veterans treatment, because everything that I had been hearing from people that had gone through that experience seemed way too similar to what I had done, on accident.
Yeah.
You know,
After, I'm going to interrupt you. After
yeah.
the accident, did you happen to find yourself not feeling, I don't know, did your friendships change? Did your outlook on things change? Did you feel kind of more inward? Like, did you go
So
through a depression at all?
no, I didn't. I didn't go through. Well, I probably, because I was in a wheelchair for, and I had the
Yeah.
bag, and like, and I was, I was an athlete, and just being kind of that weak,
Yeah.
beaten, and broken down, and because they I've got a scar stem to stern, so I always make the joke. I'm like, well, I wasn't going to be an underwear model anyways, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you're like, you're self conscious of the scars, and so probably a little bit of depression, but like, it almost gave me this sense of invincibility, which
Mhm.
or like a license to steal, and I just use that term, like, okay, well, obviously I'm here for a reason. I have no idea what that reason is, but just based off the conversation that I had, where I gave, that presence, like an ultimatum, like,
Yeah.
hey,
Right.
I'll come with, if not, I got a whole lot of stuff that I would like to accomplish, and whack, I'm back. So
And
uh
we needed you here with everything your podcast. I watched his DTD podcast, guys. If you ever want to tune into that, that was pretty amazing. So you
yes,
have accomplished so much. So your presence being here was needed and is needed.
thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you for that.
I appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, you would think, and I even struggled with that. Like, you would think having an experience like that, and I use a lot of humor analogies, would almost turn you into a monk, you know,
Right, right, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
but I kind of went the opposite way, I kind of was like, well, I'm on round two apparently, and
That's
so
good.
I'm just going to do whatever I want, and,
Yeah.
for better or for worse.
Right.
But yeah, it's just something that's never not in the back of your mind,
Yeah, always.
right? I was 18 years old. I was 18 years old. Um, so yeah, it's like I said, I'm not saying that was the right way to handle it. It's just the way I did handle it. You know,
Right.
it definitely, from a religious standpoint, it definitely reaffirmed. And once again, I'm not trying to offend anyone. Everyone's, relationship or their faith is kind of
Right.
is a sensitive topic, right? But if I was skeptical of the brick and mortar kind of traditional Western religion before the accident, everything, it just reaffirmed my skepticism in the sense of, I don't I don't need I don't need a middleman or a middlewoman. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like,
Right. Yep.
when the time comes, apparently it's a very one-on-one situation,
Yeah.
So,
Right, exactly. Yeah.
right.
Everyone's is different. Yeah.
Um, yeah, so it didn't turn it, like I said, it didn't it's I don't know if it helped, if it hurted, I don't know if it was detrimental, it's just, that's how I handled it, you know. Kind of turned, it kind of turned me into a little, maybe I was a little wilder than I would have been,
Yeah.
Because I literally felt like, I'm like, okay, well, if that didn't kill me, then nothing will, you know?
Right. Kept going. Yeah.
Yeah, because in the doctors, to this day, my father will run into the doctors that did my surgery, and to this day, the doctor will say, he'll always ask where I'm at, what I'm doing, what I'm up to, and the closing comments are always, this many years later, he's like, I've never seen anybody come back like that.
Wow.
I've never, he was gone, but he came back,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
Um, so those kind of stories, like I said, like put that in an 18-year-old's head, an 18-year-old male.
Male. I was going to say that.
Yeah.
Not to throw that in there, but yeah.
Talk about gasoline to a fire. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought I was invincible before I got in the accident.
Right.
Now I've got, God and the doctors and everybody else telling me that I'm a medical anomaly. So yeah, it probably went to my head a little bit.
We all need some ego, right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, with the then the ibogaine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So first and foremost, for anybody that's listening out there, I can't stress how beneficial that treatment is. It's by no means a walk in the park. But yeah, the veterans treatment and that we went to, it was an ibogaine session, and if I'm being totally honest, my ibogaine session was not very prolific. It was a very, very strange trip. Now, and I had never experimented with any type of psychedelic drugs ever.
Yeah.
Prior to this treatment. So to say that I was afraid and a little skeptical, it would be an understatement. I was absolutely terrified.
Did you go in there with the intention to revisit this? Or
yes.
Okay.
Yes. I had two intentions, because that was kind of part of the ceremony. They asked to set your intentions for the ibogaine and the DMT, 5-MeO DMT treatment. And so we had this, fire ceremony where we had written down our intentions for the treatment, for the session, on a piece of paper. And we had gone through months of counseling prior to arriving on venue. And I kept it, I kept the NDE, I kept my experience to myself. I didn't tell any of the counselors. I didn't tell, the only person that knew was my business partner, Matt, was from Nomadic Research. I told him about my truck accident, about my NDE. And the reason why I did that was I didn't want any special treatment. I didn't want, and maybe that's pompous or egotistical for me to think that I would, I didn't want anybody to know that half of the reason why I was there, it was to see if what everyone was saying was true, and if it was anywhere close to what had happened to me in high school. I
would have done the same. I would have kept it to myself. Yeah. I would have. Yeah.
And my second intention was I don't want to be angry anymore. Because my accident was in 1998, my senior year. I was 18 years old, and I'm going through this experimental treatment. I think I was almost 40. So I've got 12 years in the Marine Corps, 12 years, that the Marine Corps and the intelligence organization that I worked for, I had a considerable amount of time overseas and in what I guess we would call high stress environments. So that takes its toll on anyone after, I spent, the better part of 5 years in Afghanistan. I had my deployment to Iraq, held some significant positions, and like I said, not trying to church myself up, but high stress jobs, if you will.
You did. Yeah. You had some importance there.
And so I had a lot of baggage to get rid of. So I just said, I don't want to be angry anymore. I don't want to be mad, because that's that, that's one form of kind of that post-traumatic stress, or having been in those environments for so long. Your meter is just pegged for so long that you're just always kind of hovering around an 8 out of a 1
Yeah.
to 10 scale.
Yeah.
And for no reason, that's just what your new normal is.
Yeah.
And I don't want to I don't want my shoulders glued to my ears anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we did the ibogaine, and once again, just, and I can go through it in detail if you like, but just I kind of came out of it like, well, that was strange. I didn't really get any answers. The only prolific thing that happened when I was in the ibogaine was at a certain point, I remember my coaching, my counselor, coach, if you will, saying that you could control it, and he goes, imagine sitting in a movie theater and you're watching your life. You can pause it, you can rewind it, you can go to certain scenes. One of the things he had said, some people have been able to speak to their older selves, right? So the sense that, basically giving me a sense of, hey, you can control this medicine if you want.
Interesting.
Right. And it took me a while, because once again, not having done any type of psychedelic drugs ever, growing up in the, growing up under the DARE program.
Which is kind of, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The DARE program.
Nancy Reagan would not approve.
Really stopped us.
Right. So at a certain point in the, I'll just keep saying in the medicine, I was like, wait a minute, I can remember my coach saying that I could control this. I'm like, and then I could talk to my older self. And so I did. I said, I said, and we've got the eye shields on and the headphones, and you're hooked up to an EKG, and it's, the bowls are playing. It's, the set and setting is, other than the EKG, the set and setting is pretty fantastic.
I'm blown away that they do this. I'm totally blown away that this is something they offer. And to that extent, with hooking you up to that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's legit. Like it was not a fly by the seat of your pants type of deal.
You weren't at your friend's house just hanging out.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Well, I asked to talk to my older self. And I was instantly, that was the one time in the ibogaine where I kind of lost the sense of the room, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I wasn't really in the room anymore. I can't really say specifically where I was at, but I was kind of, I remember the sights and the smells of where I went. And once again, the best way I can describe it is kind of a war zone. There was lots of rubble, there was lots of smoke. I could smell cordite. There was embers kind of flying in the air. And of course, there's kind of that initial like, oh shit, where the fuck am I at?
Yeah, you're back in it.
Like am I not in the room anymore? I'm not in the room anymore. Okay. Where am I? Where am I? And as I kind of came around this, I say corner, but it's, I just was kind of going through the smoke. I can remember hearing the rubble, under my feet. And all of a sudden this individual came into view, and he was in full camouflage, fatigues, full, what we would call in the military, full battle rattle, like had all the gear on, M4, this, that, baseball cap, and a very, very white, white beard, and looked remarkably like me, except my face was 1,000 years old, so it was me, just my face, I was 300 years old. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And that was startling. Like it startled me. And I, in the older version of me, if you will, kind of looked up, gave me this, I just swallowed the canary kind of grin, Cheshire cat kind of grin, which again was kind of unsettling. And I'm getting kind of goosebumps now talking about it. I kind of was like, whoa, you like, hey man, like, what? And before I could ask a question, me, however you want to describe it, just shook his head. The grin went away, and he just shook his head no. And I once again was kind of like trying to interpret what that meant. And I think I even said, if I remember correctly, because I mean, obviously you're under the influence, so what I remember is my reality, right?
Right.
I kind of said to, I was like, well, what the fuck does that mean? And that quickly, he just nodded his head back down. And I went away and I was back to the room. So what answers did I get out of that? I didn't get any answers out of that. I got more questions than anything, right?
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff, obviously, as you well know, you kind of got to chew on and process afterwards.
Mhm.
There was a lot of purging. Uh, there was a lot of purging. I actually fell asleep for a little bit of it, which at the time my group, if you will, was one of the very, very early groups. So there was always kind of like a debrief afterwards, because at the end of the day, although it is you're down there because you need help to work through these, whether it's substance abuse or PTSD or all of the above, right? You're still being studied.
Yeah.
You're still basically you're volunteering to be studied. So
Yeah.
the next morning, after everyone was kind of back on their feet, the counselors and the staff there would have like a counseling session, and they would tell you what you did, because they were observing you all night long. So you did X, you did Y, you did Z. And I remember that distinctly, they said, you were first on a couple different fronts. They're like, well, you fell asleep. We haven't seen that before. And I was like, well, how do you know I fell asleep? They're like, because you started snoring,
Mhm.
and I was like, oh, okay. I believe you. Like I said, I purged quite a bit. But nothing, like I said, nothing, and I want to be careful when I say that. I was so very thankful for the opportunity. I just, coming out of it, I didn't feel like I had a lot to glean, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
To where the 5-MeO experience was life altering,
Wow.
so that was kind of my ibogaine experience in a nutshell. The rest of it was just very psychedelic. I would
Interesting.
hear children laughing. There was obviously a lot of kaleidoscope-esque things happening,
Yeah.
and the weirdest thing about the ibogaine was, if you took your mask off, because one of the forms of purging is you using the restroom. Like I had to pee a lot.
Yeah.
Which they were like, hey, it's either coughing or vomiting. Excessive urination is one of them. Well, I had that. Like, I felt like I was, and they were like, hey, just if you need assistance, raise your hand, and the doctor will come over. And I felt like I was raising my hand every 5 minutes. And
Yeah.
he was having to unhook the EKGs. And
Oh, get out.
the first time I raised my hand, he came over and he said, what's wrong, or how can I help you? And I said, I've got to go to the bathroom. So he started taking off my EKGs. And once he got me all unhooked, he reached down and tried to assist me to stand up. And I kind of slapped his hand away a little bit, like, I got it, and then I tried to stand up and I couldn't, because the psychedelic experience of ibogaine stops when you take the mask off and you open your eyes. But what is left is, the best way I could describe it is if I grabbed your head with both hands and shook it as hard as I could, like everything is vibrating.
Oh God.
Everything is vibrating. And they had kind of warned us about that before we took part or ingested the medicine. They said you'll feel a sensation of warmth, and then it'll be followed by a buzz or a vibration. And then once that vibration kind of takes over, it's everything. Like, I've been in one earthquake, and that was kind of close to it. It was almost like being in an earthquake,
Interesting.
you
Yeah.
know. So I couldn't get to the bathroom by myself. So now
Yeah.
I'm hanging on to this doctor for dear life, like he's dragging
Oh.
me, he's dragging me off, like, off of a hot LZ or something, like I'm wounded in combat, and he's got to hold on to me while I, brace myself against the bathroom wall. And just like I said, I felt like I was in there a lot. Meanwhile, like I said, the other guys are going through what they're going through in the room. There was four of us, and
Was there any anxiety?
I was terrified. When I was in it,
Yeah.
I was absolutely terrified the whole time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, just like, and my counselors said it well over the phone because all the counseling sessions were over the phone, and I said I can't stress enough how nervous I am about this because I've never done any psychedelic drugs. And even at the time I was your atypical, like I said, all jokes aside, I was kind of your atypical, or at least in my friends group, like maybe I had smoked a little, weed a handful of times. I just, that wasn't part of that wasn't what I did.
Yeah.
Now I was probably two steps away. We drank a lot of beer. I mean, you're in Iowa,
Yeah. Yeah. They yeah, drinkers.
we drank a lot of beer, but the rest of
Yeah.
the stuff I just kind of steered away from. And he said, well, let me put it to you like this. He goes, you've never ever seen a mountain. You've never climbed a hill. When you go down to do this, you're gonna You're gonna summit Everest. You're just going all in first time. And I was like, I don't know if that's helping me right now, or like that sounds like a bet, that sounds
Yeah.
like
Yeah. I'm a logical man. Yeah. Yeah.
the success rate is low in that scenario, right? And he goes, no, your success rate's going to be high. He goes, as long as you don't fight it, as long as you surrender, as long as you kind of use the tools that we're giving you during these counseling sessions, he goes, you're going to be you when you come out of this. You're just going to have a different perspective.
Yeah.
All the things that make you will still be there. And another kind of prolific statement that he said, and he had a few, was your life and your brain, your mind is like a record, right? And it's been playing the same song since you were 18 years old. Because what this medicine is going to do is it's going to lift the needle, right?
Yeah.
You're going to go through your honeymoon phase, whether it's 1 month or 2 months or 3 months. And then when that needle comes back down, it's up to you whether it's playing a different song or not. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
referencing like the post integration, work,
Right.
and so that put me at ease, but still going through it, I mean, I was physically shaking, you know
That's,
um and I'm in the room with three other of, as standards go, the toughest thing on two legs, three Navy SEALs and myself, but everyone was scared. you
yeah.
know you
Yeah.
know
It's out of your control too. Like in a sense, you're like, oh, what's this gonna do? Yeah. Mhm.
so yes, I was very, very afraid. Came out of it the next morning. uh I was the second one to wake up. I felt great, which again is, kind of not typical, you know. Went downstairs, poured a cup of coffee. One of the staff members was already fixing, kind of breakfast, or, manning the kitchen. And she was shocked that me and one of the other guys were already up and downstairs. And I poured a cup of coffee and she was like, how you doing? I said, I think I'm doing pretty awesome. Thanks for the coffee. And she goes, you guys are an interesting group. She goes, we've never seen one of the other guys that was up with me. He put his shoes on and went for a run on the beach. She goes, we've never seen that. You're the first. She goes, usually everyone's kind of in bed all the next day.
Interesting.
Uh, and we just weren't. We just weren't.
Yeah.
Um, I started doing a little bit of journaling. We obviously ate, went back. I think I took a nap, read a book. You just kind of chill out. But
Yeah.
definitely not the horror stories. I did not experience the horror stories that I had heard, about how
Right.
traumatic that particular medicine can be.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I just kind of lucked out, that I didn't go through 18 hours of hell. Uh,
Was it dose week? Just
you're
kidding.
right. Matt,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, because and I didn't know anything about ibogaine before I showed up, and I had not done any homework on it. I had kind of done extensive, extensive. One of my pastimes in months, which is kind of crazy. I started listening to Joe Rogan. I spent a lot of time on the road, and I was in hotels a lot for my job.
Yeah.
So what do you do at night? Well, I would watch podcasts.
Right.
And Rogan would constantly talk about DMT experiences. And like I said,
Right.
and so I kind of started doing homework or watching or listening or reading anything that had to do with it because there was so many similarities to my experience. I mean, even Jeremy Renner, have you seen his recent, you know who
I,
Jeremy, the
yes,
actor?
definitely. I didn't know, did he take this? I didn't know he did that.
He had an NDE when he got run
Right.
over by that snow tractor.
Yep. I saw that part.
And so like I had one of the things, I know I'm kind of jumping around here, but one of the things that I had said to my wife, my wife and I have been, this year's our 25th year. We dated all through high school. Um,
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. I had said to her, anytime we would talk about my experience, I said, I cannot stress to you, human words cannot articulate or do any justice. You don't want to leave.
Yeah.
I didn't want to leave. I mean, verbally, I said, "Hey, I have things I like to do,
Right.
but if I'm staying here, that is okay."
Right. Right. Which is so interesting. Yeah. So I guess it was a different thing, experience for me in a sense because my mindset was different when mine happened. So I might have been like, no, I want to stay but I was in a sad place. You know what I mean?
Right? Yeah, I do. I can. Yes, I understand.
Yeah.
So what I said that to her when we were 19, 20 years old, and I mean, I think I saw that podcast where he was on Rogan talking about it, months ago. And I just looked over at my wife. I was like, "Where have you heard that before?" That's exact.
Right.
He used almost the exact same words that I would.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
so it's a strange club to be in.
It is. And I started I watched like the near death experiences on Netflix and stuff because I was like, you know what, maybe I should see what other people if they feel what I feel. And I started watching them and I watched them, kept watching every episode was the same thing with the feeling and you don't want to leave. And I'm like, there's something to this. Like there's something to this.
Yeah,
So
and
with you,
a
yeah.
thousand percent, 1,000%. And uh yeah, so yeah, fast forwarding or going back to the experimental treatment, um the DMT, the 5-meo DMT was, I tell people, it was the absolute worst experience of my life, followed immediately by the best. And for me, it would be the second time, like
Yeah.
crossing over a second time. Um, so, but getting there was just as painful as, how I got there the first time on accident.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd you get
Yeah.
there? I had to rip my liver in half and bleed out.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, not an easy journey, right? But yeah, the DMT experience was very, very similar in the sense of an immense amount of physical pain. I thought I was screaming. Um, I felt
You
like
were
I
in
was.
pain?
Beg your pardon.
You were in pain taking that?
Yes,
Oh
yes.
my gosh. Okay.
I thought I was being ripped apart at like the molecular level.
Oh my gosh.
literally just into atoms, into dust. I thought I was screaming. I thought I was writhing around in pain. I felt like I kept like convulsing into like the fetal position. Come to find out, none of that was happening.
Wow.
When I got like my post experience interview or counseling, like
Yeah.
here's what we observed you doing, and I think I even apologized. I was like, hey, sorry about the screaming. And they're like, you weren't screaming. And I was like, I wasn't screaming, I wasn't moving around, I wasn't yelling, I wasn't anything. And they're like, no, they're like, the only thing that you uttered, the only thing that you said was well, and let me paint the picture. So I'm absolutely terrified. They sit you down on a mattress. There's a counselor, there's kind of support staff in the room, if you will. And once again, I'm visibly shaking. I'm so afraid. And I don't know what I'm afraid. I don't know if I'm more afraid that I'm going to be proven right, that my truck,
Oh,
you know,
I didn't even think of that.
like I was kind of afraid of that confirmation, and then obviously of the unknown, like
Yeah.
where am I going to go? What's going to happen? What's this going to be like? So the doctor could obviously observe that I was, very, very, scared and afraid. And he even asked me, he said, are you afraid? I said, I'm terrified. I said, I've never been so scared in my life. And he goes, well, I'm going to give you what we call a handshake dose. And he goes, that will calm you down. So he shows you the medicine, shows you the apparatus that they use to administer it, kind of gives you some instructions. He's like, I'm just, count to 2 to 3. I'm going to count to 3, and just pretend like you're kind of sipping coffee out of a straw. And he goes, you'll have a warm sensation kind of come over you, and then we'll give you the dose, right? So I took the handshake. Everything he said was accurate. It definitely like calmed me down physically, but obviously mentally I was still like, oh man,
Yeah.
what is this going to be like, and then they give you the real dose, and kind of the last instructions that I was given were, if you think that you need more, this is the hand and arm signal for more.
That's
Sign language.
sign language. Yeah,
Right.
more.
Which I was vaguely familiar with. We had kind of practiced that with our oldest daughter, who's not,
Right.
she's not hearing impaired. I don't know why. It was just one of the things we did. We did a lot of sign language with her, So I knew what more meant. And I said, well, how will I know if I need more? And one of the counselors said, if you're still in the room, you need more. So the initial dose is, I'm sorry.
No, yes, if you're still in the room mentally, you need more. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the initial dose was pretty atypical of what I had heard or read, where everything is kind of geometric and, kind of a tunnel, if you will, of geometric shapes and patterns. And I fell back into the mattress. And I can remember, and you have your eye shade on, and headphones on as well. But I guess the best way I could verbally describe it was I felt like swimming in a pool. Like when I was underwater or in the medicine, the mattress of the room would kind of go away. But if I came up, then that sense of being in the room was kind of me coming out of the water, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to go under and stay under. And so I said, I started doing the hand and arm signal for more. And even through the headphones, I could hear the counselor say, not yet, not yet. And I don't know how much time passed, but it was very, very hard to move. And it was very, very difficult to speak. And I did it again, and I said, I'm still here. And shortly after that, I had said, I'm still here, I remember them sitting me up. I can remember hearing or feeling the apparatus to take like an additional dose. And after that second dose, now I'm being ripped apart
Wow.
at the molecular level. When I fell back into the mattress, once again, not trying to make it sound dramatic, but that's the last thing I want to make it sound like. It's just, like I said, it's hard for words to describe it accurately.
It sounds dramatic to me, so go ahead.
Yeah. I guess I felt like I was being like it's like I was kind of being pulled through hell, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Lots of fire, lots of pain, lots of
Yeah.
and then when I popped, and I that's the word I use, because it just the worst experience ever, and then pop in back into that void.
Yeah.
And this time the void was black and I was moving towards um a light, once again, no sense of myself, no sense of the room at all. It's not like I could look down and see my hands. It was just, my consciousness,
Yeah.
very, very similar other than the color difference from my truck accident. Um, saw some people along the way that kind of gave me the it's okay, kind of gave me like forgiveness, if that makes
Oh,
sense.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and once again, the overwhelming sense of tranquility and peace and love. Like I told my wife, she's who now has been, versed in it because of me talking about it. I said it's like being hugged by the universe.
Yep.
Like if the universe could, like pure and unadulterated love and peace and tranquility,
Yeah.
and then once again kind of that sense that someone or something is there,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
um, and a lot less dramatic kind of retrograde out of that space that I had with the truck accident. I just was kind of there, and all of a sudden I was awake, and my
Yeah.
eyes were open, and I was back into the room. And then I proceeded to bawl, profusely,
Good.
like an infant,
Yeah.
like
Like
45
it,
minutes,
there's
snot,
your release. Yeah.
yeah, the snot and the drool and the
Yeah. The
controllable,
ugly cry.
right,
Yeah.
uh, cried like you haven't ever cried before, right, or at least in recent memory. And they allowed one of my teammates to come up, and of course lots of hugs, and because he had already he had went through before me. We had actually passed each other on the stairwell going up. Like he had just finished, I was going up, and man, I felt like I was being walked to the electric chair. Like I was like, this is the last set of stairs I'm ever going to walk up.
Yeah.
And so seeing him come down, obviously, and I just looked at him, and of course they had kind of given us strict rules, like, hey, don't say anything, because the intentions, they have to be pure. So like, had he run downstairs and told me everything, it might have affected how mine went.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
So kind of don't, and everybody else is already out of the house. They kept everybody else on the beach until you had gone through, right? So I'm out on the beach. They call on the cell phone to the counselor. Hey, Dagan can come on up. So as I'm walking up the stairs, he's passing me, descending, and I just looked at him kind of like with a look. How did it go? And he just smiled. He goes, "You'll be okay. Just let go. Don't fight it." And that
Yeah.
was it, right? That's all he said. And yeah, and so then yeah, after the uncontrollable release of emotions, that was it. And I have to ask, have you ever taken it? Have you ever done it?
No, so my thing is of course when I was younger we messed around with a bunch of hallucinogenics, you know what I mean? So I've had those experiences, but to go and think about doing this now, I'm like, oh my gosh, I the same thing with uh the fear. I'm like, I don't know if I want to put myself back in that, but the DMT is what and the ibogaine is what has been drawing my attention. I don't know if I would do it though. I'm not sure if I would go back, but I have, had those where you get to the point where you're peaking, where you feel like you're losing your mind, and then you come back down.
Yeah, this is yeah, and having, like I said, having not ever had any, other than the truck accident, right?
Yeah,
I probably sat. Well, the first thing I did was I went out to the balcony and I tried to write everything down.
yeah,
You know, um, like trying to remember a dream, right? I wanted to write it all down, and truth be told, I did write it all down, and I have not looked at it since.
Yeah.
I know where it's at. It's in a desk drawer. I don't know why I haven't looked at it. It's almost like I'm almost like it'll vanish if I open it again. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know,
Keep it with you.
yeah, kind of,
Yeah.
right? I'm sure someday I will look at it again, and kind of see. I did the same thing with my journal that I kept in the, invasion of Iraq when I was a sniper with First 25th Marines. I wrote in that journal every day, and I haven't looked at it since.
Looked at it.
So,
Yeah.
someday I will, but
With the DMT though, it's only like, is it 15 minutes that you're out or is it longer?
it's like 15 to 20
For
minutes.
the, yeah, and the ibogaine is a lot longer.
Now, the ibogaine is roughly about 18 hours.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But you're never really out with you. Well, I shouldn't say that. I was never out, in the ibogaine.
Right.
It's no different than now I can say it's kind of no different than any other psychedelic. Where has it been 10 minutes or has it been a week? I honestly can't
Right.
tell,
Yeah, exactly.
because when you're in the
There's
DMT,
that.
yeah, right. I mean, 100%. When you're in the DMT, I don't know if, I mean, in my brain, I was gone for a very, very long time
Yeah.
because you have no sense of time, right? But
Right.
in reality, in the physical world, yes, I was probably laying there for about 15 to 20 minutes,
Yeah.
which, is kind of common. People will say that, like, hey, man, I was gone for a lifetime. I was gone for years,
Right.
but in reality,
That one, because it's only 15 to 20 minutes, that's the one I lean towards because I'm like, I don't want to deal with 18 hours. I remember those nights with back in the day.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I journaled, and you just kind of sit, or I did. Everyone's experiences are unique and then and kind of the same at the same time, right? Not everybody pops like I did. You know, and you just kind of sit, or I kind of just sat in like quiet reflection of the the absence of weight, right? Like the release and the absence of weight. It was like I didn't realize I had been carrying that amount of weight, like I felt like if I thought hard enough, I could float away. You
Oh,
know,
well, yeah.
does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like that for months. If my wife was here, she would attest. She could see the physical change in me from the parking lot.
Oh,
She
wow.
she goes, as soon as I saw you, she goes, I could see the difference. She goes, you looked lighter,
Right.
you looked
The
happy.
release. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, other than set me on fire, you couldn't punch the smile off of my face for about 3 months. You know,
Good.
um, did a lot of journaling, did a lot of meditation, obviously, like kind of focusing on that post integration. And I think the biggest takeaway that I got exactly what I asked for. I don't want to be mad anymore.
Yeah.
So I could see, and one kind of strange thing, and I'll say it out loud because who cares?
Yeah.
For about a week after I got back, I would see people in two different colors, and what I mean by that is people would either have a green hue to them, just like the outline. And green to me was positive. It was good. It was, I'm going to have a good interaction with this person. Their energy is good. If someone had a red hue, it was like stranger danger, like
Yeah.
negative, toxic. And I would run the other direction.
Yeah.
Like, nope. Negative. Like you're
Right.
very open and receptive
Yeah.
to everything that's kind of happening around you. And anyone that's been through it will attest to that. I just had a teammate over for a meeting the other day, and found out through conversation that he had just went through it. And once again, I'm like, did you see this, feel this, what, and he's like, yep, everything you're saying is true. Mine's a little bit different, and here's the ways that it's different. But, so like I said, everyone's experience is very unique, but then it's very, very similar at the same time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right. Do you feel so? Of course, you're very in tune to things as it is because of, I mean, what you were in combat. I mean, you were a sniper of all things, so you're very in tune. But do you feel like there's your senses were awakened after your near death experience, or this even more? Do you have a sense of clairvoyance? Do you feel?
I don't think I know. I don't think I have a sense of clairvoyance. Although I believe in it, obviously, I believe in it 100%. I think what it did, the truck accident was so long ago.
Right.
I think I would be talking. I think I would be kind of talking out of my ass if you know what I mean. It was so long ago. I don't kind of really remember other than now I'm ultra invincible, obviously once I got out of the wheelchair and could actually walk
Yeah.
around and, got my strength back and all that stuff. But with this, I was just much more present. Like, I have 3 children, and it was coming home. I can remember it was like seeing them for the first time. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Distinctly remember just staring at them like this is the first time I've ever seen you,
You didn't have all that other stuff that was blocking all that.
yeah,
That's
sure.
really,
Yeah, I tell people, because obviously I've recommended it to anybody that has asked me, being in kind of the circles that I still run in, and a lot of veterans, first responders, you name it. I'm like, hey, this, you don't have to be, a Medal of Honor recipient to need this treatment. I mean, you've a firefighter, an EMT, a first responder. I said, maybe you work in the child cancer ward. Like
yeah.
those people probably have some trauma, so a huge advocate of the treatment, right? But for me, it was presence and calmness and peace and just like contentment. No sense of material things, you know,
Right.
uh,
Right.
as long as everyone is healthy and happy, that's it. You know, everything else, it doesn't matter. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. And the only what do I want to say, hurdle, the only bad thing that would come out of the treatment, and it wasn't bad in the sense of like, it was such a drastic change of my kind of personality and how I would handle myself on a day-to-day basis. My wife didn't almost know how to handle it. Like she
I
knew,
was just gonna say that. Yeah, I bet.
like if she knows me, and she does, like the back of her hand, and all of a sudden I'm like this totally different person, but the same. She's got this pattern of behavior that she's used to, in regards to interacting with me and what
Yep.
I will do. And now she's, her snow globe is shaken up because I'm not acting how I normally act.
Right. You shook her world up too. Yeah.
Right. And,
Yeah.
and so, we used to kind of go, if I was at a level 5, she'd hit a level 6 and I'd jump to 8, and it was a race to the top, right?
Right. Yeah.
Who can
Yeah.
who can be more pissed?
Yeah.
And like I said, now, I'm one step away from, like I said, unless I burst into flames, everything, it's going to be fine. Hey,
Yeah.
pick a problem that would usually, send me into orbit. Like I said, when my
Right.
shoulders were already glued to my ears, it was real easy to jump from 8 to 10 when you're hovering at 8 all the time.
Yeah.
Now I'm at -8, and I couldn't get to 10 if I wanted to, at least,
Right.
at least during,
Right.
the honeymoon phase. you know um I had
There's sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
you asked about kind of dramatic changes. senses, I was much more observant. I was because I was present. I like to tell people, like, I think a lot of times what it does is if you have just like this white noise static that is life, in your brain,
Yep.
what this does is it just turns it down
Yeah.
or even off. And so
Yeah.
now without all this internal noise and distractions, now I'm seeing my children for the first time. I'm noticing things that I probably never would have noticed or paid attention to before. Uh I would I foods that I never would have dreamed of eating, now I crave.
Isn't that amazing?
It was very strange.
It literally reset you.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And so yeah, and like I said, I once again another kind of very exclusive and or strange club to be a part of, because you almost can, depending on what a person says or how they're acting, no different than my teammate that was, just a couple, and I hadn't seen him face to face in years. And
Yeah.
just some of the things that he was saying, I was like, have you been through the treatment? And he was like, I just got back a month ago. And I was like, I knew it. You know what I mean? Like,
That's yeah.
you can
Yep.
almost sense it.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, the green hue, the red hue, the changing of the taste buds, very, very present, and thankful, very, very
Yeah.
sense
Gratitude. Yeah.
gratitude, and then just everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine,
Yeah.
and it just is,
Yeah.
and I tell people all the time now, like having kind of been there twice, um, I'm not in a hurry by any stretch of the imagination, but I kind of can't wait at the same time too.
That's it. Yeah. Like I'm like, I don't want to go now because before it was, but now I'm like, I want to stick around. But at the same time, yeah, same time, I'm like, okay. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
like, now I'm like, I know I got to take care of some stuff. So it's okay. But that's there.
Yeah. And it's hard. Like how long ago was your experience?
I was 19. So it's 26 years this year.
Okay. Yeah. And and this would be interesting if I can ask you a question, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Go for it.
Do you, although it never leaves, right? It
Mhm.
never leaves you. The farther away I get from both of those experiences, the kind of almost the harder it is to reach back and touch them, if that makes sense. Um, so I did, I like I said, I think I was 38 or 39 when I went through that treatment. I'm 45 now. Um, the longer, and like I said, to me, the NDE and the treatment were identical. It was the same.
Yeah.
Uh, one of them was medical induced. The other one was, loss of blood.
Yeah.
Um, and so, but the farther away I get from each of those, moments in time, if you will, kind of the harder it is to reach back and really have a firm grasp on like the peace and the contentment and the happiness, like if you don't focus on those things every single day, you kind of
You
have,
get, yeah.
you start
So
to,
I constantly have to draw myself back in. Yeah, yeah, it's a constant. So I'll have one of these bad day or something, but and I'll, the world's spinning, and I'm like, wait a minute, and pause. I'm like, go back to that place. And I literally tell myself, go back to that place, and I like put my hand on my heart, and I'm like, and I literally envision the white light, and I go back home in a sense. I bring myself home, and I'm like, okay, everything's fine, everything's peaceful again, because there was always this battle in my head, this noise in my head, if I don't go back to that, if that makes sense.
yeah, no, it makes complete sense.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. It's just more of a struggle the longer, which is why a lot of a lot of people, I don't want to say, in the community, if you will say tune-ups or additional treatments, maybe every 6 months or what have you, you know what I mean, just to kind of
Yeah.
reset, recalibrate. because it's definitely, neither one of those treatments is a recreational activity, if you ask me.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's not like, hey, what are we doing on Friday night? Let's blow
That's
our
good. Yeah.
brains out, with DMT.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I'm sure there's some people that treat
I'm
it.
sure there's people that do. Yeah.
Yeah. It's I am not one of those people. It's so bizarre to me, although like having such a reverence or respect, for that medicine,
Yeah.
it's a tool. It's not it's a tool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not a six pack of beer. It's not a you're not smoking a bowl. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like it's a
Yeah.
tool. There's a reason why you're doing this,
Yeah.
To me, like I said, the world according to me, and that doesn't make me right, you know.
No, sure.
Uh,
Yeah.
but so yeah, that's yeah, I mean that's
I think I got to a point where I knew after the second time, because I had an experience where after I had up this 15 years of depression, I was like, I didn't want to be here for the 15 years, and then I had this massive seizure. And I was, again, when you have these seizures, you're in between limbo, you're in between heaven and earth. And this time I was given a chance. Do you want to stay or do you want to go? And I remember looking down on my mom, frantic, trying to hold me together, trying to keep it together. And it's like for the first time I realized, oh my gosh, there's like value in me being here. And I was like, wait a minute, I can't leave as much and I was conscious of it. I was like, miserable as I am, I have to stay. These people need me. And I was like, no, I want to stay. I want to stay. So the next thing I know, I was waking up in the hospital and I was getting 11 staples in my brain, my head, not my brain, but because I had cracked my head open and I was back. And I remember that weight of not wanting to be here was gone. Like kind of like you coming out of the DMT trip. Like it was just this weight was gone and I knew that I had to move forward. I knew I had to take these steps to move forward. I was like, okay, let's do this. And of course there's these moments where you got to circle, life hits you again and you got to keep pulling yourself back to that center.
yeah, and it's all habits. I couldn't agree more. Everything you're saying is, yeah, 1000%. And it's all about the habits, right? And I
Yeah.
would sit here and say that I ebb and flow if I'm,
Yeah.
it's not hard math. If I'm doing the things that bring me solace and peace and contentment and staying present, then that is a very good day or a very good moment, right?
Yeah.
If I lose sight of those things and I'm not meditating and I'm not physically exercising or I'm drinking too much alcohol, uh,
Right.
then it's almost like here come the shoulders again. Like I can remember, you're like, here it comes.
Yeah.
I can remember telling my wife, I said, it's like I can feel or see the anxiety coming from a mile away. And
Yeah.
being able to see it that far out gives me time to be like, stop right there. Don't even get close to me. Like it never even gets to here,
Yeah.
and once again, kind of depending on how I'm acting or behaving and the things that I'm doing on a daily basis will affect my ability to stop it way down here or does it get to here before I catch it, and
Right.
yeah. So, it's like, you still have all of your emotions, or I feel like I still have all of my emotions. I just have so much more control over them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got really into stoicism, after my treatment, because that is definitely a very good way to kind of keep close to that moment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Without having tune-ups or having access to the treatment and things of that nature. So yeah, that was a big takeaway, was my daily habits and the things that I do, they matter.
Yeah.
They matter for in the overall sense of things, so yeah,
Now, like now my gauge is how fast can I get back to zero if I get to 10, like, okay, as long as I get back there quicker than letting it drag on, then that's my gauge.
yes. Yeah, I mean, depending on what I try not to even get to 10, but if I do get
Right.
to 10, it's I'm back. I can get off a 10 real quick.
Same here. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know, like it's almost like you catch and self-correct.
Yep. You're like, oh, got to go down now. Go. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Catch yourself because you don't want to go to 11. 11's
right.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can relate to everything that you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. The only other and you're familiar with this, I had participated in a veterans retreat with a 501c company called 22 Jumps. They treat and Nomadic Research is a proud sponsor of the event, where they raise money and then they take veterans, first responders, and they treat PTSD and substance abuse, depression, what have you, through extreme sports. So base jumping, skydiving, jeep crawling, all this stuff, right? A fantastic team of individuals. I cannot say enough good things about them. And having been a participant in last year's veterans retreat, uh, the owner of the CEO of the company, turned out we knew each other from another life. I had actually put him through sniper school in
Yeah.
Quantico. Yeah, it took us a couple days to figure it out, but once we did, holy shit, a fantastic guy. Anyways, he I said, he goes, hey man, he goes, going through this week, he's like, which one of the participants do you think has benefited the most? And I said, probably me. I didn't realize, and I wasn't, I was only participating when I got the opportunity and the chance, because, I'm a sponsor of the event, not necessarily a participant. Thankfully, I got to do most of the things. Um, I said, this has been so cathartic. I go, this is, and him and I had talked about, the vet treatment. I said, this is the veterans treatment without the medicine. I
Oh,
said,
yeah.
you know what I mean? I said,
Yeah.
I am, I said, I think I'm going to break the Guinness Book of World Records for bursting into tears, on a daily basis, because this has
Yeah.
been so good, so good. And, so once again, like if you don't have access to, some of these treatments, right? Like just the activities, the physical exercise, the journaling, the meditation, you know, the crazy,
Camaraderie,
the
honestly.
camaraderie, right?
Yeah.
One of the events was a somatic breathing
I
exercise.
was just going to mention that. My one girlfriend does breathing and she does breath work. And it is the most amazing thing, but it is work and you're going to go somewhere and your mind's going to go somewhere, but
It,
you're going to heal. It's really opening. It opens you up.
it's absolutely bananas. Like it's like full open kimono here. Like we, when it came time for that, where, and I had heard of it, but just, oh, I think I know what that is, whatever,
Yeah.
and because your algorithm, my algorithm is full of,
Yeah.
this kind of stuff, but I never participated, and there's always a little bit of an asshole in me where I'm like, oh, great, we're going to go to a Lamaze class and I'm going to
Right, right.
whatever, but there's enough of me open where I was like, I'm going to give this a shot, I'm going to do
Yeah.
this, right? And you're right, it is work. And had I not, so once again, to paint the picture, I was kind of trying to stay off to the side, like not be in the way. And the individual that was running the exercise, who's fantastic, she was fantastic. She goes, she saw me going to lay down on the tile floor. And she goes, hey, you probably want to lay on the carpet. The tile will be cold. And she goes, or at least grab a blanket. And I was like, yeah, I'm good. It'll be fine. So, being an asshole,
Yeah.
so I laid down on the tile and it was an hour long, breathing exercise. And right around the 45-minute mark, I started to go. Like
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, I'm actually,
Tingly and everything.
and I was getting
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
yep,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I was
Yep.
yawning, and it had that, the only thing that was anchoring me to the room, which should serve as a lesson learned, like don't be a jerk, was the cold tile floor.
I bet.
Had I been on the carpet or been had the blanket and took her advice,
True.
I
Yeah.
would have went, but it would just keep that cold sensation would just keep, felt like it, a balloon on a string and just getting pulled back down,
Oh, yeah.
and then of course the release,
Yes.
so yeah, lesson learned, don't be skeptical and try new things, right?
Yeah, that one was big. And that's like how I feel with Reiki. I do Reiki, so that'll take you places too if you allow it to. But the breath work, my friend, and she'll invite me every time she does a class. Okay, do the I'm like, sure, okay, send me the link. I don't do it. And then a couple, like I think it was last summer, I finally was like, fine, Tara, I'm gonna sit in and do this. And it was exactly what I needed. It was work, it's work to breathe, but it was the best release that I needed. And I don't have that that thing or whatever that was play that record that was playing in my head before I did that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Incredible.
interesting.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was very, because well, I'll obviously only speak for myself. Like, you want to get the straight truth, ask me a question after that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and lots of hugs, lots of high fives, lots of releases, and the individual, that was running it, she goes, hey, what did you think, kind of off to the side. And I was like, not gonna lie, I was shitting all over it in my head before we started, and that was amazing.
Yeah.
I was like, it was amazing, it was amazing.
Yeah.
um
Even during it, you almost get mad. You're like, oh, fuck this breathing, fuck this, because it's work.
yeah
And then
I
you just
yeah
let it go.
was like,
Yeah.
I have, like I could not believe what was happening when it started happening.
Yeah.
You know, almost like rewinding all the way back to the ibugaine. Once again, having never taken anything like that, there was a little bit of skepticism. Because even back, I had friends that were doing, psychedelic drugs in high school. I just didn't do it.
Yeah.
I remember hearing them tell the stories where, and I, having never, I'm like, was it really that bad? Was it really, or what, just being, kind of critically skeptical. And so when I ingested the ibugaine, I can remember laying there on the mattress being like, man, these guys might be full of shit, like this is, and then here comes the warm, and I was like, oh, okay, they said it would be warm.
Okay.
I'm definitely warm. And then the buzzing or the vibration kind of started off very faintly and got closer and closer. And then once I was kind of vibrating, I went, oh shit, they weren't
Mhm.
lying. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
kind of like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
Right. Exactly.
uh, now I've gone from skeptical to terrified because who knows how this is going to go,
I
but
just hated the part where I'd be laying there going, am I breathing? Am I breathing? Am I
right.
breathing? Am I breathing?
Yeah. Yeah. And it wasn't just a yawn. I don't know if you've ever got the yawns, but
Yes,
I
yeah.
thought I was going to break my own neck. I was yawning.
Yeah, just from yawning so much. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's incredible. It's incredible. I'm very much looking forward to doing it again. I hope we do it again this year coming up.
Good. I need to find a place that does this because I got too many people that just do it recreationally that I
Mhm.
would like to be with somebody I trust,
Sure, sure. Well,
Yeah.
where are you, if you don't mind me asking, where are
I'm
you?
in Jersey, New Jersey.
You're in Jersey. Okay. Well, I'll send you the contact of who we use,
Okay, yeah.
I think she does some virtual things as well. But yeah, finding, yeah, if there was a spot for something like that around here, I would, go often, you know,
Yeah.
I'd probably be the only dude in there, but
That's okay. Yeah.
yeah, I'd be fine by me. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
100%. It was an amazing experience.
I'm so glad you had that. I'm glad you got to go and experience that and have that confirmation also. It was just, you need that. I think it was
Mhm.
somebody said to me once, because I was like, what happened to me year after I finally had that second incident, where I chose to stay back and I started digging on Facebook for support groups with NDEs. And this woman was like, I said, but why is everything so different? Why do I feel so different? What is this? And she's like, because you came through a portal. She goes, you were just, I don't know if you believe in this stuff, but she's like, you were reborn in a sense with this. You connected to the other side, and now you're here. You've touched divinity. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And she goes, and that's in you. You feel that.
Yes, I believe. Here's the only thing I know for certain
Yeah.
is that I don't know shit.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I mean that when I say that. Pre Mexico, pre the treatment, I was probably well, having the accident kind of, I always like, well, anything's possible.
Right.
Having the, had I not had the accident and the NDE with the accident, I probably would have been your atypical, guy that if I can't touch it, eat it, or kill it, I don't believe in it.
Right.
I mean, you know, uh, now I believe in all of it. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like somebody could
Yeah.
wake up and be like, I've been reincarnated, 17 times and I used to be a fire hydrant. I'd be like, okay, I believe you.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
It could be,
Exactly.
it could be,
Yep.
and of course I'm trying to use humor, but yeah, I don't, yeah, I've just had too many experiences now to shut the door on anything or to assume that I know something for certain, you know, so yeah, it's, I'm
Do you
open.
feel joy now? You feel joy on a different level?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you feel love on a
Mhm.
different level. It's, my relationship with my wife, I think, because we're a statistical, she was a Marine as well, for,
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, on the podcast.
yeah, I mean, we are definitely a statistical anomaly in every sense of the word, and, it definitely, it's a big part of the success of our relationship. I think for the first, 10 to 14 years, and we obviously can thank the global war on terror for this, but having been intimately involved in losing family members and having such a large military family, I think we were just too stubborn to get a divorce for like the first 14 years. And we were
Right?
always,
Yeah.
and then obviously post treatment now, obviously the best years of our marriage to date, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm open, I can receive, I can get what we call, I can get into receive mode and actually,
Right. You're not just in reaction.
in effective communication. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's, if I was king for a day, I would make everyone on the planet do it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Not have an NDE, but
Right. Right.
I don't,
Yeah.
I don't want everybody to have an NDE, but go through the very NDE like treatments.
Right.
Those.
But it's different. It's even more, don't you feel it was even more, what's the word? It was, you got more out of it than therapy in a sense, like speaking therapy. There was something that brought you back. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yes, 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 it does. Yes, it does. And I'm so glad that I had not had any other type of psychedelic experiences prior to,
Right.
you
Yeah.
but yeah, it's anything's possible. I believe in all of it. And, once again, there's just, having so many experiences now, where, like you said, you can kind of reach out and touch that other place, that other side. Uh, I don't know how you could walk away from that thinking that you got a real firm grasp on anything
Right.
as far as
Right.
what's real and what isn't, because I can remember coming out of, kind of the NDE and the treatment being like, this is all of this is fake.
Right.
It's not real,
Right.
or there was a point where it wasn't real and there will be a point again where it's not real again. It's just
Right.
it's a transitional, existence. It,
Yeah.
you know,
It's like after all that anger, you finally found a place. You finally found heaven on earth, you know?
yeah, if I'm doing the right things.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I have to keep coming back to earth. Yeah, keep coming back to my heaven on earth. But yeah, yeah,
Mhm. Yeah,
following those steps.
for sure. Yeah. It's fun to talk about. It's definitely fun to talk about with somebody that's been through it, that's had a similar experience. I've wanted for years um to is that noise bad? Can you hear that noise?
I can't hear it.
Okay, cool. There's someone's running like a jackhammer next door. I'm
Can't
glad.
even hear it.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Uh for years I've wanted to run into or get connected with someone like you, because I know, like you said, you can see the movies, you can watch the episodes, you can read the books.
Yeah.
And it was always kind of like, one day I will, one day.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and my wife is the one that sent me. She sent me your information.
Oh,
And
wait, is that how?
yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah,
Well,
she sent
thank you,
me
wifey. What's her name?
Jennifer.
Jennifer. Thanks,
Yeah,
Jennifer.
and yeah, thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, I'll be surprised if she doesn't reach out to you directly. But yeah, she had sent me.
Please do.
Yeah, oh, for sure she will. One of your Instagram posts or whatever, and it was, I didn't even have to think about it. I was like, yep, I'm gonna do this. You know,
And
uh,
I literally posted that. I was like, I don't know, was it the video or my carousel post?
I think it was your carousel post.
Yeah, and I was like, it was late at night, and I'm just like, I don't know. It was again something guided me to do that, and I was like, whatever, I'll put it out there. Who cares? And then I hadn't even, and then when you responded, I'm like, all right, let's do this. Like this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I didn't have to think twice about it. I was like, good, I'm finally gonna get a chance to
Yeah.
to talk with someone that has been through it. You know,
Everything aligned. Yeah.
yeah. Um, my father, actually, this is interesting. He actually had an NDE as well. Um, Marine, 3 years in Vietnam, all this good shit. And great, he's a great guy. He got stung by a bee, like he was drinking a beer, and a bee stung him in the lip, or in the gum, and he went into like anaphylactic shock.
Oh
And
my gosh.
it's not my story to tell, you know what I mean? But basically, he had kind of the atypical, and he wouldn't mind if I told the story. He's like, I can see everybody in the hospital room. I've got an overhead view. I can watch my brother who's running around screaming, "They couldn't kill you in Vietnam. You're not going to die now,"
Oh
and
my gosh.
of course, physically he's immobile,
Yeah.
intubated, but he will go into extreme detail about what was going on in the room from kind of the bird's eye corner view of the room.
Yeah.
So no
So we
question.
gotta get dad on here now.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Get the old man on for sure. Yeah, I think so. There's no question in my mind that it's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's everything that you feel and everything that you kind of go through, is real. You
Mhm.
know, I think the struggle or the daily work and the things that we have to do. And I have this conversation with my wife all the time where it, it's not an end state. It's not a goal. It's a constant struggle. I go, it's not something, like what's nirvana or what, I go, I think that is just the human condition and the human experience in one way, shape, or form. And reaching the end of the finish line, that place that we go is kind of the reward.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
You know,
so too. Yeah,
like
absolutely.
we
Yeah.
can do these things to kind of touch it briefly, momentarily, um, while we're here in this sense,
Yeah.
but it's not forever all the time until it's forever all the time. And that's kind of,
Right.
you know, so,
Right.
you know, um, that's just once again kind of the world according to me, right?
Yeah. Right.
I think it's foolish to go through these experiences and think that you could just kind of recreate that all the time here in the real world. Like I said, I do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
to recreate it in the real world, it's hard. You just have, the only way to get there is to go inside myself. It's like I just have to go inside myself. I'm very not necessarily introverted, I guess, as much as I was, but I do like to be alone. I do like my quiet, my quiet. But yeah, I'm not sure what to say.
Hey,
Yeah.
so sometimes you don't have to say anything.
Yeah, it's just this feeling. I walk around all the time I think about it every day. There's not a day that goes by that something doesn't make me go there. I don't know what it is, but I think about it every day because every day I have that feeling of the other side. I don't know.
Yeah.
People are like, "Oh, are you over it yet?" I'll never. What do you mean over it?
Do you, if I can ask another question,
Yeah,
do you ever find, and this is kind of be long winded, but that's what podcasts are for, right?
yeah,
So after in the truck, the NDE, like I said, to me, they're the same. You know what I mean?
yeah.
They're the same. Is equal as it's hard to explain this. Like the peace, the tranquility, the feeling of contentment is kind of like indescribable, right?
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
indescribable. And but the longer I get away from that moment, or the first 3 months or whatever, then these feelings of loneliness, like do you know where I'm going with this?
Yep, yep, yep. Yeah,
So where instead of where I'm like, hey, when you go there, you're never going to want to leave.
right,
Never going to want to leave.
right.
Now, when I think about it, it's kind of 50-50. Sometimes I think about it and I'm reminded of that contentment and how it's peace and tranquility and love. And then the other times, depending on like I would probably say my mental state or how much noise,
Yeah.
it's fear and loss and
Yes.
loneliness and forever is forever. And
Yeah.
you know, do you feel this? Do you have?
Yes. And I think what changed for me was when I had my son. So my son is the thing that's like keeps me grounded.
My son, my youngest, my son is, when I think about my son, I think about, it's like I'm gonna miss him.
That's the thing that, and I don't know why I was jumping around that, but that's what keeps that's the thing. That's the thing that I'm like, okay, because what the hell there's
Right?
here, but then there's there, and then there's my son. And I'm just like, you bring me back to reality.
Yeah, it's so bananas because then I have this little like two people on either shoulder, like
Yeah, yeah, you
you're
get these
not gonna
thoughts.
care. It's gonna be awesome. You just forgot what it feels like. You're gonna miss him forever. You're never gonna see him again, or what? You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah, yeah,
oh,
yeah.
when in reality, I know I can remember that feeling. There is no loss. There is no pain. There is
Right.
no right.
Right.
So it's
And then
just
I'm like, what will he feel?
right, and then if right, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah.
And I've had those conversations. I've had those conversations with my children. Um,
Yeah,
where it's like, hey, you're going to feel a certain, when someone passes, you
yeah.
know, you just got to remember that they're fine. don't
Right.
don't feel bad for them. You can feel bad that you're going to miss their presence, um but they're fine.
They're fine.
they're
Yep.
they are a-okay where they're at,
Yep.
you know
Yep.
and obviously, a 10-year-old, that's hard for a 10-year-old to conceptualize. A 14-year-old, probably kind of gets it, but yeah, what a strange, kind of, I say, it's almost a curse,
Yeah. It
you
is. Yeah.
know, it really
My
is.
mom was telling me that she's like, tell this is my nephew when he was younger. Tell him about heaven. I'm like, it's the best place on earth. And she's like, don't make it sound like that. Like, yeah, like, if something they're having a bad day, it's not the way to do it.
This
Like, well,
place
what do
on
you want
earth.
me to say? Like,
Yeah, I found it very, very difficult. And I probably sounded like a blathering idiot when I came back. Like it's just, there are no real words to describe it.
there's not.
Right? I mean,
There's not. And it's like nobody I could talk to. I felt like I couldn't share with people because people thought I was crazy or they didn't get it. They didn't get it. So thank God I had my mom who got it because she had a dream that this was going to happen to me and stuff. And she's very connected as it is.
mhm.
So she knew it was going to happen, but she couldn't tell me. I was 19 and doing my own thing. And you weren't going to tell me to not do something and say car accident happened. So it's,
Unbelievable.
yeah,
Unbelievable.
right.
Well, I mean, has anything, I don't want to turn the chairs around in the interview, but I mean, is there I mean, obviously there's similarities. Like, what are some of the differences like that you had with your experience versus what's coming out of my mouth?
Well, I saw my past loved ones. My grandfather was there and my aunt was there, and she's the one who pulled me out of the light. She carried me out of the light. So,
I heard that part, and yeah,
yeah,
okay, go ahead. Sorry.
but the light, the glistening, when you're explaining the water glistening, I know what you're talking about. It's just, it's unbelievable. And just that feeling, everything's nothing really different than I saw them there, and they told me to smile to come back. They're like, make sure you smile. So they wanted me to smile. So my parents knew I was going to be okay because they had brought me back twice. And then my parents, I guess, were in the hospital and my blood pressure was 14 beats a minute. So they were saying goodbye to me and I was being told to smile. So when they told me to smile, the next thing I remember is feeling my face. Like I could feel my face. I was back. It was wild. So I
Yeah,
got chills.
I know. I'm getting them
So when
too.
you said that about your grandmother, the smiling thing and stuff where I was like, yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? Yeah, you don't run into anybody on the other side that's in a bad mood.
No, you don't. I know. Otherwise, I would have been like, send me back.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so interesting to me. I mean, I could literally sit here and talk about this for a week,
Me too.
it really is intriguing. There's just so much that we don't know, and at the same time, uh,
I
you
don't know. I don't want this to cut off. Do you know how it works on Zoom or does it blow off? Does it cut off at 2?
I
Or
don't
will it
know.
keep going?
I don't know.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Hopefully it keeps going. Yeah.
Why, what are we at? Are we at 2 right now?
Yeah, we have like 5 more minutes. But I don't want to cut you off.
I'll,
I don't want to let you go.
I know. I'll know what happens if the screen goes blank. Yeah.
All right.
I was, I guess I was saying like, you have so many questions, and at the same time, there are no questions.
Yeah.
I can remember saying this is when I start to babble, right? Like the only answer is that there are no questions.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
and that's such a bizarre way to string those words together.
Yeah.
But that's how I describe the feeling. Like you come back with I did with such a sense of at ease.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't have any questions anymore.
Right.
I didn't figure anything out per se. There's nothing to figure out.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And at the same time, we spend every day trying to
Figure it out. Yeah. Yeah. I remember my after the accident, my grandfather, who was there on the other side with me, kept chasing me in my dreams. I would be like dreaming and he would just be chasing me. And I'm like, why is he chasing me? And I told my mom, like, Grandpa just keeps chasing me in my dreams and it's terrifying. Like, why is he doing this? And She goes, well, ask him. And I go, what do you mean? She's like, you have control of your dreams. And I was like, I do, And so she's like, next time you have the dream, turn around and ask him what he wants. So, I mean, it's real as day. And it's like, I was having the dream again, and he's chasing me down this alleyway, and it's raining and the moon is glistening. And I finally turned around this alley and I said, what do you want from me? And he walks up to me, and he's wearing like this red tie and this blue suit, and his bright crystal blue eyes are just glistening in the light. And he goes, once you stop running, things will get better. And I was like, oh. And then like fast forward 15 years later, it finally dawned on me, the minute I surrendered and was like, I want to be here, is when things started to get better.
And that is so crazy. It's so crazy, right? Like, it's almost like stop trying so hard and everything will work out.
Yeah, exactly. Stop trying. Exactly it. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop trying so hard and stop spinning your wheels. Stand
That's
still,
perfectly it.
yeah. Stand still, be still. Read a lot of Ryan Holiday books. I wish I could say I know him personally. Like stillness is the key. If you're ever familiar with that one. Yes. And once again, very, very stoic centered in stoicism, but just being calm and being still.
Yeah.
And the longer that you do that, and the more often you do that, it just seems like the ocean calms.
Yeah.
The ocean kind of becomes glass, and the harder you fight it, the worse the waves get, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've obviously got.
Well, it's amazing. Your wife has been here through this, with all of this with you. Yeah. That's great. That's good. Because you've had that support.
Yeah. She's amazing.
Whether she understood it or not, you know what I mean? She was by you.
Yeah, she's well, and I'll let her talk for herself, obviously, when you guys talk, because I'm sure you will. She understands it perfectly.
Yeah. Good woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's the best. It's been 25 years. I'll keep her.
Good. Yeah, keep her.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, did we hit two?
Well, we did. I can't thank you enough, and I would love to talk to you again and do something like this. I mean, this was healing for me too. My healing for me on my end.
I could not agree more. Yes. Hit me anytime, obviously. And I would very much like, to have these types of conversations. I always say, if I can help, I will, now that we've kind of connected, and if I can do anything for you, just let me know,
Yeah.
I've got this that was one thing. I couldn't get away from this thing fast enough. Unfortunately, this is, the one thing that, a necessary evil, if you will, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know it's bad for me, but you almost can't get away from it. But
yeah,
that's the first.
We all have our vices, we got to have something.
Yeah, I've got a collection of them. Yeah, for sure. But yes, please don't be a stranger. And if you need anything and I can assist, I will. Yeah, please plug your business, your companies, and everything you're doing. Yeah, it's Nomad. Thank you. It's Nomadic Research, nomadicresearch.com, outdoor adventure apparel, technical apparel and gear, veteran-owned company. 22. Excuse me. I plugged 22 Jumps because those guys are fantastic. And 10-22-50 if you need any tactical consulting or any training. We offer a wide variety. We got a crackpot team that are subject matter experts in their fields. And check us out on the Nomadic Research podcast. Sounds great. I will be in touch. Hey, thank you for everything and your sacrifices and everything you've done for us. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. I look forward to talking to you real soon. Thank you. Me too. Have a good one. All right. You too. Thanks. Bye.